What is up, guys? It's Fungun Boys here, and welcome back to another video on the channel, and welcome back to another Spider-Man 2 video. Well, in general, Spider-Man video. We've got Spider-Man 2 gameplay in the background, and today we're going to be talking about my top 5 favorite Spidey villains in the Insomniac Games universe. Nothing to do with comic books or the movies, but these renditions of the characters. So yeah, so we're going from worst to best, so the best would be number 1. So, top 5 would be Craven. He kind of lacks a lot of depth. He's just your typical bad guy, being like, I've got cancer, I need to be killed in battle to he kind of sounds like a damn Viking. You know how people are like, you have to die in battle to reach Valhalla, like something like that. And he's like, I want to go out roaring and all that. Like, he sounds menacing, but he's not really in depth. I like it when the characters have more of a connection to the player or have more in depth things about them rather than just I've got cancer, I need to die in battle. Like, yeah. Okay, number 4, we've got Venom. Not the symbiote suit, but Harry as Venom. That, like, man, that is crazy. Just like the last, well, spoiler alert, the last boss fight of the game, it was packed with emotion about the best friends fighting each other and about how they brought Miles into it, being like, kind of being like in the way that's the way Harry thinks of it with the venom on it, and like they're fighting it out, and it's so like emotional trip down memory lane for them as best friends and all that, and just Peter trying to bring his best friend back to normal rather than this monster controlling him. It is quite crazy when you think of it, but kind of lacks well, we didn't really know Harry for that long, so you didn't really connect with him too well. It was kind of like he was kind of just written into the story. You didn't really get to know him for anything. So yeah. Okay, number 3, Flint Marco, aka Sandman. This is where these last 3 are very in depth. Okay, like Sandman afraid of what the hunters were going to do to him, and he just had a mental outbreak and worried about his family getting hurt, that he's just, angry that the hunters are coming after him, and he's scared for his family, and he really cares for his family, but just the huge outburst taking over most of the city. First boss fight of the game, but it was a fucking, yeah, bit more in depth than other boss fights that I already, other villains that I've already listed on this list. So yeah, that's pretty crazy. Nonetheless, family and outbursts and all that. That's quite in depth in a way. So yeah. Anyways, these last 2 have a connection to Spider-Man deeply. Number 2, Doc Ock. I know people are gonna be like, oh, why isn't he number 1? Or something like that, but yeah. We'll get to the number 1 when we get to the number 1, and I'll explain. Doc Ock was like a mentor to Peter, and it was just crazy. It was just, he became a different man when he put that chip in, and Norman Osborn taking everything from him, his research, everything, and turning into a rageful, vengeful person. He had no control over himself as well, so that's one thing. So yeah, and it was fucking emotional, that fight in Spider-Man 1. Like, you could definitely feel the emotion. It was cinematic masterpiece of a boss fight, and also seeing how Pete's mentor just went so solo and started fighting Peter and trying to kill him and everything. Like, man, you could just tell the emotion was high. So yeah. Anyways, now the only number one on this list, the best one in my opinion, Mr. Negative, aka Martin Lee, aka he was the boss of Feast before he became a villain. Uh, Peter was pretty close to him, and yeah, he was Pete's boss at the homeless shelter. I know it was a volunteering thing, but still the boss of the shelter. Saw him on a daily basis. Very positive guy and all that, but he turned very angry because deep down he had those negative powers, and he was just so pissed at Norman Osborn and wanted to get revenge. Because I'm pretty sure Norman Osborn killed his family and all that, if I remember that correctly. So Martin Lee really wanted to go for Norman Osborn's head, but in turn, it caused the Devil's Breath scenario and Aunt May getting killed, and Peter Parker losing his one only family member he had. Like, man. And also there was the City Hall bombing, which was the first big terrorist event Martin Lee done, first big thing in the story Martin Lee done. And that also left Miles with an important figure in his life gone. So you can tell Miles was pissed when he had to see Martin Lee face to face in Spider-Man 2. Like, man. He saw his dad's killer right in front of him, and like you can imagine the emotion running through his head and his body and everything. Like, he wanted to kill Martin Lee. He almost let civilians die in one of the missions in Spider-Man 2 just to get a bit of revenge. But Pete snapped him out of it, saved the day, and Martin Lee knows that he did wrong and he wants to put it behind him in Spider-Man 2. But yeah, he's like so complex. He knows he did wrong, but then he doesn't regret it in a way, but then he does at the same time, and he's basically the big bad. He created the climax of Spider-Man 1, and also um, helped Pete out to find Miles and Craven and all that shit, and got Miles out to safety and all that. So yeah. Anyways, guys, that was my top 5 Insomniac Games Spider-Man villains, and yeah. That's my top 5. Your top 5 may be different. Doc Ock may be number 1. Sandman may be 1. Venom may be 1. Craven may be 1. Or, whichever. But this is my top 5, in my opinion. And, yeah. Anyways, dudes, you guys have a good one. Bye.